Hello and welcome to this training. The purpose of this training is to teach you how to move customers, either brand new customers onto the Flash V network, or to take an existing customer and move them to the Flash V network off of an existing Verizon account. So the best way to set up this training is probably to set this up in one window off to one side and then have the open browser on the other side of your screen. That way you can look at them side by side, run through the video, stop the video when you need to catch up on your screen. But the purpose of this training is to walk you step by step how to get a customer onto Flash V network. Now, the ability to bring your own device in the wireless industry is an historic advancement. Matter of fact, this is going to revolutionize the wireless industry. This is our chance to get paid on the actual bill of an actual wireless customer for as long as they pay the bill. 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 1 decade, they pay a wireless bill, we get a check. This is going to explode residual incomes for those that are effective at acquiring customers. So we need to aggressively pursue the acquisition of customers in this process. So of course, it all starts with you going to your ACN Direct storefront. So your ACN Direct storefront is where you acquire all of your services and customers. So go to www.yournamehere.acndirect.com and bring up your ACN Direct storefront. Then once you get to your storefront, pick your state. Once your state comes up, you're going to have the services for your state, and through there hit the wireless button. Now when you hit wireless, the wireless portal will come up and you have all of your options. So you can choose from the traditional providers like Verizon, Sprint, and T-Mobile. But in this case, we're going to hit the shop now for the Flash wireless service on the left-hand side of the screen. Now after you hit that, the flash screen comes up, and when the flash screen comes up, you're now going to do one of two things. Either you're going to enroll with a new device, which I'm not going to cover today, even though most of the steps will be the same. The goal of this training is to actually teach you how to take an existing Verizon customer and move them over to the Flash V network, okay? So that means that they're going to bring their own device. So you're going to click the bottom right-hand side of the screen, have your own device. So click that screen, bottom right. Now from this screen, we're going to click here for a list of approved devices. So let's check the approved device list to make sure that our phone is listed as one of the approved devices. So look at the model number, go through the list, and determine whether your device is a device that can be ported onto the network. Once we decide that we have an approved device, we go back to the screen and click on the Verizon button, because remember, we're only bringing a Verizon device in this case. So on this screen, this is the MEID entry screen. And an MEID is a small hex code either inside your phone or on the back of your phone that identifies your device on the network. So as you look for an MEID code, you can either pop off the back of your phone and pop out the battery and look for MEID hex code, or in the smartphones, it's going to be underneath the settings. So you go into settings, general, about, and scroll down to the MEID code. But we're looking for this identifier code. This code is what identifies your device on the network. It's very critical that we enter it exactly the way that it is. It can be very hard to see at times, but look very closely, follow it, and as you put it in into the box at the top there, once an accurate number is entered, a check mark will come up. And once the check mark comes up, then you know you've entered a valid MEID code. It may not be a valid for your phone, so be careful. Make sure you enter all the numbers exactly the way they appear, and then hit the button below, Check MEID. Once you hit Check MEID, a search is going to happen. It's going to take about 30 seconds, and then the screen at the bottom will show up, which is this device is supported, or there will be an error message. But if this device is supported comes up, that means you're ready to move on with your order. Now, if you're bringing a new phone number over or a not in contract number, you're just going to proceed from here. But right now, I'm going to click over. I'm going to assume that we're looking at a device that's under current contract. Okay, so if we're looking at a device that's under current contract, we now need to jump to a new window. And we need to go onto the Verizon website and make sure and see what the terms of this contract are before we break it. Because what we don't want to do is get somebody saddled with a huge fee for any reason. So we're going to jump onto the Verizon website. And along the top right up there, you'll see sign in or register. So if this person already has a Verizon online account, they'll just hit sign in. Otherwise, we'll register. So I'm going to assume that we're going to need to register. When you hit register, you get a screen here to put your phone number into. So put the phone number in and then create a password. And what's going to happen is a temporary password will be texted to that phone. So make sure that that phone is on. It'll be texted to that phone. You'll put in the temporary password, and then after you put in the temporary, you put in a permanent, and then you'll log in. And once you log into the Verizon account, this is the base screen that you're going to look at. And this is where your device or multiple devices may now show up. So on this screen is where we're going to see the details of what this person has as far as a device. And in this case, this is a device that last bill was $135, current bill is $144. So and it's a one phone device in this case. Now we're going to jump around some screens a little bit. We're going to look at some devices where multiple are on it and single devices. This one's an easy one because it's a single device and we know the bill is $135 and $144. It's going to be very easy to get this account. So first thing I'm going to do is bring up the actual bill because I want to see what the person's actually paying for. So as we look at this bill, we'll see that the charges on this bill, like we said, were $120, $130 versus the $79 plan that we have. This is a no-brainer, right? This is an automatic switch depending upon how long the contract is. Remember that for a smartphone, we're going to talk about it in just a minute, it's about a $15 or $10 credit per month for each month that they're in contract. But if you're saving $40 per month and it's costing and it costs you $10 per month, that's a pretty much no-brainer, right? So anyways, have a look at the bill and make sure what kind of plan they're on so that we give them an equivalent plan. Make sure that we're not giving them a different plan. Now, when you go to the Verizon main screen and you go up to My Verizon, there's really just two areas that you're going to click. You're going to view all My Plans and Services and view all My Devices, okay? And that's going to bring up all the devices under a plan, and it's going to bring up the plans that these devices are under. So on a single line, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Just grab the phone, move it over depending upon what the contract end date is. We're going to look at some multi-line devices now. So we assume that we went up and we hit the My Devices tab. When we hit the My Devices tab, we're now going to be able to view usage, as you can see on the button there, and we're going to be able to view contract end date. So looking at view usage, we're going to be able to see under the usage exactly how much data and other things that they're using. I'll talk about that in just a second, but right now, let's look at view contract end date. This phone here has a contract end date, as you can see on the screen, of June 30th, 2013. Okay, June 30th, 2013. What that means is that's when the contract actually expires. So for a basic phone, under a 2-year contract, it's a $175 contract with a $5 credit for each month complete. For a smartphone, it's a 2-year contract with a $350 penalty with $10 credit for each month complete. So in other words, for every month that you've been in contract on a smartphone, a $10 comes off the $350. So in this case, if today is January the 23rd and the contract on this screen is 6/30/16 or 2011, that's when it started, right? It's going to end 2013. This means that it's run for 18 months already. So at 18 months, at a $5 credit per month, because it's not a smartphone, means they're getting $90 off the contract fee, which means there's going to be an $85 buyout to buy this phone out of the contract. So it's going to cost $85 to end the contract now. So we can calculate exactly what that fee is depending upon whether it's a smartphone or a dumb phone, so to speak, okay, and what the contract end date is. So hit the view contract end date, see what that end date is, calculate what the fee will be so the person knows exactly what their last bill will be from Verizon. Now remember, with these phones, the reason why there's a penalty is they were given either a free phone or a deeply discounted phone. So in reality, it's not so much a penalty. It's a charge that the company was attempting to recoup based upon them giving you a phone or discounting a phone. So in most times, what you're really doing is you're buying a phone right now, right? You're buying a phone to be able to bring to a new network. So it's not so much, you shouldn't get people to think or have them think that this is so much a penalty as the right to buy their phone. Now the second thing we need to do is now check data. We got to make sure that the data usage is within the realms of what we have. Now on a dumb phone, we know we get unlimited data, so no big deal. So we can switch any dumb phone and the data usage is fine. On the smartphones, we have limitations on the data, right? We have a 1 gigabyte, not limitations, but we have a 1 gigabyte standard, and then there's going to be additional charges. So what we want to see is what kind of data users are these guys. So looking at this phone, at the bottom section, across the top, you get each line. So each line of the phone you can click on, and then below it will pop up the data usage of each line. So we can see on here that even with 2/3 of the month gone, right, 21 days of 31 days gone, looking at the bottom, we see that they've only used 200 megabits of data. So if 1 gigabit was their data usage, they're way under data, right? So data is not an issue on this plan. So they're not heavy data users. The way to make sure that somebody's not a heavy data user is to make sure that they have Wi-Fi turned on. So when Wi-Fi is turned on in the phone, that uses Wi-Fi instead of cellular data and keeps this data down. So, but it's good to check because you don't want to get them to get hit with a big data charge. So now we've looked in Verizon. We see that their plan is more expensive. We see that the buyout is reasonable. And we see that the data is a non-issue. So let's sign them up. So we come back to the screen where we left off, and that device is supported. So we click here to continue. Now what pops up is the zip code field. Right? So the zip code field is going to pop up. We're going to put in our zip code to make sure that we're in the appropriate area for Flash Wireless. Now, there's 2 caveats you got to make sure of. Number 1, the voicemail of the old phone is going to disappear. Okay, the voicemail of the old phone is going to disappear. So make sure there's no messages on there that they need. That is going to go dead, and it's going to go dead the minute the order, pretty much the minute the order is entered. So also know, again, that the minute the phone is entered, it's going to go dead, and it can go dead for ours have been going dead about 5 minutes, but let's just plan on 30 just to be safe. But about 5 minutes before we can get them up usually with the conversion codes. But assume that there could be something else. So just make sure that they're not going to need the phone to run out on an emergency in the next 30 minutes while we finish this up. Okay, so make sure all the voicemails are off the phone. Make sure that they can have the phone down for a little bit. Now we're now looking at the screen. Once we put in the phone and the ID, the MEID number, it determined if it was a smartphone or a dumb phone. So now it's going to come up with the appropriate plan. Remember, on a dumb phone, we're going to get that $47 plan that we have. Here, this is the smartphone. So we're looking at $78.99 versus what we saw on that screen, which was between $124 and $135 a month. So this is going to come out really, really good, obviously, for this user. So we click the screen, we move forward. Now, we have the sign up screen where it brings up the Flash Wallet. Don't worry about the Flash Wallet, or the Flex Wallet, sorry. The Flex Wallet is a tool that's used to limit the amount of overcharges should somebody accidentally end up in a high roaming area, if they should accidentally use too much data. It's a way to keep the spend and set a budget every month for the phone for any overage charges so you don't get hit with a big bill. One time I accidentally roamed on Verizon and got like a $3,000 bill, didn't even realize it. Okay, so it's nice to have a Flex Wallet that limits that and tells you, hey, you're overcharging significantly. Going to be an activation fee, of course, just like with any wireless company, and it's telling you what the data increments are. For data on the phone, we don't have to worry about that either. So all we do is basically to go down to continue. There's nothing on here that we need to click or anything. Now, the next screen is to either get a new phone number or transfer our number. So in this case, obviously we're breaking a contract. We have a phone number we want to keep. So we're going to actually click the box for transfer service to this device, right? And put in a phone number. Once that transfer service to this device comes up, we're going to put in the phone number, and we're going to hit validate. Validate's going to make sure that it's a valid phone number, and then we're going to hit continue to move on. Once we hit continue, all of the details of the old account are going to come up. Old service provider, old account number, name, all the stuff that we need to put in. Now, one tricky thing is the old account number often has a dash in it. Okay, everyone has had that I've seen has a dash. You got to remove the dash because it only wants numbers. So make sure that once you put it in, backspace over the dash and put it in correctly. The PIN or password is that 4-digit that they had with Verizon before. It's not a required field, so if you don't know it for sure, don't put it in because it'll only jam up the order. But if you know it, it'll speed up the order. So put in the PIN if you know it, the 4-digit PIN. Otherwise, just leave it blank because it's not a required field. Fill in all the data, and hit the agree box and hit continue. Now we get to our order total. So the order total here is, of course, it's a prepaid plan, so we're prepaying for next month's service, which means $78.99 is our charge, $44.99 is our activation, and again, remember that these plans include the taxes, so the $78.99 is our next monthly charge. Hit checkout. Fill in our details. Now, these are the details that I want to appear on my account, how I want my account to show up now with Flash. So make sure that I put the name that I want, the address that I want, obviously email, create an online password, because with Flash you got your own virtual back office, right, where you can log in just like we did with the Verizon account, and you can set settings for your Flash account. So this is your new password. Confirm the team ID number of the person that's actually getting credit for the order. So make sure that the team ID number is accurate. Remember, you can never, ever, ever put a customer under somebody else. So this is always the IBO who acquired the customer's number, whether it's the team member or the IBO number of the person who went and got the customer. Hit continue. Now we're going to put in our credit details. So put in all of our credit details. Make sure that you click the agree button on the bottom left. It's a little not visual down there. So make sure you put the I agree. Hit make payment, and the payment's going to go through to make the charge on the account. Once the payment went through, we're going to get a confirmation screen, and this is going to be our order number. Write it down. Okay, so make sure that you write it down, and note that there's a few valuable phone numbers here in case something now goes wrong. So now what's going to happen, now that the order went in, within a minute or two or just a couple minutes, usually that phone's going to go dead. And now we're looking for 2 consecutive emails. The first email is the email at the bottom, and it says your Flash wireless order. So this is your confirmation. It's got the same order ID number in it, okay, and the same phone numbers that we're looking up above that confirm your order. So keep that. Okay, that comes in first. Then the second email is our activation email. Now, this is the valuable one. This is the one that's going to teach us how to now activate and get that phone back up and running. So in this case, this email comes in now. Watch out, this email for me went to my spam box. The one came in my inbox, but the other one came in my spam. So make sure that we check the spam to make sure that we're not waiting around for no reason to get this email. Usually comes about 4 or 5 minutes after the order. Is what I found. So, but you can give it up to 30 minutes, of course, or whatever it takes. So, make sure the device is switched on, and now we're going to punch in box number 4, the code in box number 4. So, make sure the phone is up, it's running, it's on, and hit star 22890 and press the talk or send button, and that's going to initiate a process that's going to say programming your phone. Okay, and it's going to give you 1 of 2 messages. Could not program your phone, or your phone has been programmed successfully. If the message says could not program your phone, try another number. Okay, so go down 1 line and try the next number. Try dial 228, so star 228, and select option 1. And you're going to hear the same messages. Either your program has been successful or your phone could not be programmed. If you've received this email and it says your phone could not be programmed, you're going to want to contact customer service, either in the chat box, okay, that's on the screen. There's always a chat box coming up. You can either chat online to figure out what went wrong with the order, or you can call in. So most of my orders so far have been successful. Just hit the star 22890 and get programmed. 1 or 2 of the phones, I did have to do the star 228 and the option 1. However, 2 orders did not work, and I had to call in on both, and both of them were errors in the entry process. One is we entered the MEID number wrong, so make sure that you're accurate on the MEID number. And another was an incorrect password for the Verizon account. So we put in a password, but it wasn't right. So we had to put in the correct one to be able to get Verizon to release the account. So they were quickly taken care of, but I stayed there to make sure that they got taken care of. So for your customer, do not leave until your customer's phone is up and running, okay? Or stay on the phone with them, and of course you're going to be on a phone that's not the one we're disconnecting. So after it's successfully transferred, then type in star 22891, star 22891, which is box number 5, and that'll set up the roaming capabilities and identify your phone in the network. At that point, the phone's now live. Okay, the phone's live. Now you should be able to make phone calls. So we got just 2 more steps to do. Number 1 is we need to set up their voicemail. So I put on the instructions of how to do a Verizon phone voicemail. It's just star 86, and it's going to take you through some prompts like it says on the screen. So go ahead and go through and make sure that they set up their personal voicemail. Now, one thing, in the more advanced phones, we're going to want to make sure that we hit the option message indicator on. Okay, besides setting the message, setting the greeting, setting our name, all the stuff that you do when you set up a voicemail, besides doing all that, make sure you look through the options to get the message indicator on. This is going to allow the phone to be notified when a message comes in, so that the little envelope or blinking light or whatever it is shows up, right, for the person, that they know the voicemail is now working. Because in some voicemails, especially with the smartphones, they deactivate that feature. That feature is deactivated, message indicator, because they have something called visual voicemail, which I'm going to cover in just a second. So right now, make sure that we set up the voicemail, set up their greeting, set up their outgoing message, and hit turn message indicator on to their phone. Now, if they have an iPhone or a smartphone, I believe, I only know iPhones so far, but iPhones have something called visual voicemail. Visual voicemail is a Verizon feature that is not available to MVNOs. In other words, we do not have visual voicemail. So on a smartphone, an iPhone, and if you don't have one, you're done. You can stop the video. But if you have an iPhone that you're converting or are looking to convert, visual voicemail does not work now on that phone. So what visual voicemail is where your voicemails show up, much like emails, with the name of the person that called, and that way you can jump messages. You don't have to wait in line and keep, saving or moving around other messages. It lists them on your phone, and they're actually residing on the phone. So that's the bad news. The good news is I've actually found an application to actually overcome that. Matter of fact, I found this free app called Umail. So what you do is you go to the App Store on an iPhone, and you download this free app called Umail, and it's way better than the visual voicemail. So I actually love it. I've actually turned my visual voicemail off because I have an iPhone 5. I'm not allowed to switch my phone yet. However, I've now turned off visual voicemail with Verizon, and I'm using Umail because the functionality is way better than the one that comes standard. So all you need to do, if they like their visual voicemail, okay, and an iPhone user may actually like the visual voicemail, just go to their App Store, search Umail, download the free app, configure it real quick, which is, again, just like configuring any voicemail. Okay, you're going to activate it. It's going to take over for the Verizon voicemail. So now Umail is now your voicemail carrier, and you're going to create an outgoing message, and there's huge functionality. You can customize messages. You can have your messages emailed to you. You can get a text when somebody hangs up or sends a voicemail. I mean, there's all kinds of functions. Just set it up with them. Just download it. It's free. Just download it, set it up, and this now becomes their voicemail in replace of the visual voicemail. That's my solution. I'm not saying that it's the solution. So for any reason, if they simply do not want to lose their visual voicemail, you can't convert them. But if they're okay with a small workaround, that's very, very easy, and to me, much, much better than the existing one. It's just an app. And remember, on smartphones, everything's pretty much just an app. So there's always a workaround. There's other solutions other than Umail. I'm not endorsing Umail for any specific reason. It's just the one that got the best reviews that I saw and works really, really easy. Bottom line is, I don't know that I've ever been more excited about a single product than this one. With Verizon being a $110 billion company, and most everybody I know on Verizon, this has been one of the easiest things I've ever done in my career. I've been flipping several accounts every single day. The value's there, right, for customers. Everybody loves the Verizon network because it is, to me, the superior network in America. I've tried them all. I've tried to go on the other providers. I simply could not. So for me, no matter what, I had to stay with Verizon. Even though we had our Flash Wireless brand, I always had to stay with Verizon. Now, I'm on Verizon. Love it. My wife is. I'm not on my iPhone, but our whole family is, of course. We love it. it's better value, and of course it's easy to get customers. So let's get those customers. Let's build out this wireless residual income. Let's build you. This is a game changer. The ability to bring a phone, put it onto a network, right, is the first time in history. Remember, everything else has always been about the account being locked for 2 years, not being able to get out of it, not getting a true residual on the true payment of a customer. This is the wireless brand we want to push at all costs as much as possible, get as many customers on as possible, and don't forget, earn free Verizon service. Refer 5, you're going to get yours for free. So make sure that we get 5 accounts so that you start getting free wireless, and you can tell everybody you know, I get free wireless. A great way to get this going is to post on your Facebook, who here uses Verizon Wireless? Okay, go on Facebook, call your friends, who uses Verizon Wireless, and go on there and see if you can attract some customers and get to 5 and get yours for free. Hope you've enjoyed this training. Again, use this as a tool alongside the sign-up process so you can run the video, pause the video, get on the same screen. I'd practice with myself first. You got to be, of course, a user of the product to be able to market a product, so get on the service first, and then let's go get those customers. Thanks, guys.